we're just having a conversation about the LGBT project. So, Carmen, maybe you just recap a little bit for Dee.
Yeah. So for Grays, we have undertaken a year-long scoping project, scoping research to look into the resilience and well-being of gay men, specifically how they've managed to maintain well-being in the face of negative legislation, and how they've managed to maintain their well-being outside of the support of positive legislative reform, such as more recently equal marriage and before that the age of consent, the Equality Act of 2010. But what we found, which was surprising, that not that many gay men have been aware of the legislation that really supports their lives or really impacts on their lives. And so what I was keen to find out is, where do they get their support from? The reason for the study was because mainly it's autoethnographical. I'm a gay man who was born at the time of arguably the most significant legislation in modern LGBT history, which was the Sex Offences Act of 1967, which partially decriminalised the homosexual act and gave more recognition and more power and more agency to gay men as part of normal society. And being born at that time, being born in 1960, I was born automatically criminalised because, as we all know by now, we are born the way we are born that way. And so it was interesting for me to find out about the stories of men who had actually grown up in that heavily oppressive, criminalised atmosphere, and how their lives have changed since, and the lives of the people who were born at the same time as me and since then. What is their awareness, and how much do they link back to a time when criminalisation would have made their lives a lot harder? And so we had a few surprising findings, but mainly the results that came out of this research were for recommendations about improving the lives and continuing that the improvement of our situation, continuing the reform, and continuing to push and to lobby for improved legislation and for improved recognition and for greater empowerment. And we have come up with a few findings that are quite interesting.
So what were the key findings then? What would you say was the most sort of surprising findings?
The most surprising was the lack of awareness that people have about the legislation that impacts their life on a daily basis. But their work within their communities, and that they work within communities, are quite disparate. You know, there are disparate groups of gay men. There's a lack of cohesion. Certainly from this study, it's a small study. We'd need to broaden it out to see where that's coming from. Certainly the recommendations that we've got from this are for a greater political engagement, for greater education around LGBT, around gay men, around the history, around our political situation, to develop, if you like, a sense of coherence, a broader scope, a broader awareness of where we are in our society, and how we can use that sense of coherence to gain that empowerment, to empower ourselves, to develop greater agency within normal societal structures, really.